What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So today we're going over Dante, the newest frame. Got some builds focused on high-level steel path missions, and I'll be showing you my exact loadout I use with Dante for maximum level missions in Warframe. So we'll get right into that. Just a heads up though, I did wait about a week to put this video out just because I want to see what would be happening with Dante. And yes, DE has announced a nerf to Dante is on the way. So we can briefly talk about that in this video as well. But let's get right into it, the builds and all that. Before we do, make sure you're sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. I'll be, of course, covering the Dante nerf when that does come out, but it is not really, we don't have the details out. We just know what's happening. Additionally, Deep Archimedians should be either tomorrow or the next day. And you'll be covering that too, so you're in the right place for Warframe content. Let's get right into what we're using here with Dante. Now, as far as, well, I'll be explaining what his abilities do too. This is a Helminth build using the Nourish ability. That's going to be going for a multitude of reasons. One of them being this frame casts a lot of abilities, like a lot of abilities, and Nourish is going to give you an energy multiplier, which is going to, when combined with certain mods, will give you a ton of energy regen. So, as far as what Dante's abilities do, the first ability has been Helminth off. It's usually an exalted book, but we've got the first actual ability called Light Burst. Casting this ability will make you briefly invincible and give you overguard. It also always triggers the mod called Archon Intensify, which is going to give you extra power strength after you restore health with abilities. Seems to work on overguard too. So we've cast the Light ability twice, the Light Burst. Casting either the light or the dark ability, which is going to be his third ability, the dark verse, will fill in pages on your little book UI over here. Since we've done 2 lights in a row, we have the double light ability active, which is called Triumph. Upon casting Triumph, we get a big burst of overguard, and additionally, on kill, we will get overguard regeneration. That overguard regeneration is very, very helpful for high-level missions, as overguard does have a brief period of invincibility when it breaks. So as long as you're constantly getting kills, you're just basically in a mini Arcane Aegis that you cannot die during. So that's pretty nice. As far as the second ability, it's called Dark Verse. It releases a slash proc that can break boxes, and also has pretty decent damage for just, you know, a nuke ability. Casting Dark Verse twice makes the ability called Tragedy, which is kind of like a mini Expedite Suffering. It will detonate some types of DOTs in an area. So right there, that guy's dead. Now, that ability can kill level 10,000 enemies, and I'll show you that in this gameplay today. But yeah, that's going to be an ability for basically if you're trying to like proc them up with some you know, slash procs, put some heat procs on them too, detonate those procs. It's going to be some pretty juicy damage. That's what a lot of players do like, and I think that is what might potentially get nerfed in the future. Now that we've gone over double dark and double light, let's go over what light and dark will provide you. Light and dark provides the Bookwarden. Wordwarden, actually, and this is like a little mini book, as you can see right here, and this mini book will shoot enemies while you shoot them, and it will also work for your teammates, too, so as we shoot them, you'll see there's a little projectile flying to those other enemies over there. With our build, it's proccing them up with with corrosive and heat. If you were to cast Nourish, which we have in our build, it will be viral, corrosive, and heat. Even though that the Noctua ability is Helminth off, so you get viral, corrosive, and heat with our build debuffing enemies to the max. That's going to go off of duration, it's going to go off of strength, and as I said, it does work for your teammates too. So your teammates will get more little mini books, and you'll be giving them viral corrosive heat as well with this build. Now for the dark and the light, you summon these birds called Pageflight. These birds will make enemies a lot more vulnerable to status. It's called a status vulnerability. I believe it just means they have increased status chance on them. But yeah, for the type of build we're going for today, we have like a status DPS build. It's really nice. And again, this will work at level 10,000 enemies. So that is going to be all of Dante's main spells. So just to go over them all, we have double light giving us the big overguard and overguard regen. That does work for our teammates. Double dark giving us the expedite suffering status explosion. Light then dark is going to be the mini book. Our mini book is very helpful. And also light then dark is the birds. And the birds will make enemies take more statuses. Okay, so we've gone over all that stuff. Let's go over the build and what you can use Dante for. Now, as far as the Archon Shards, I only have these green Archon Shards equipped when I'm planning on doing a high level, like level 10,000 mission, okay? For normal levels, you don't need these. Put 3 power strength shards on him normally, but if you're planning on doing a level 10,000 steel path, put 2 green shards on him because he doesn't have any built-in armor strip. But as far as what shards we have 1 Power Strength Tau Shard. It's normally 3 Power Strength Tau Shards because he just doesn't need the Armor Strip in normal missions. And 2 Casting Speed Tau Amber Shards. Green normal shards will work for high-level missions, but yeah, normally 3 Tau Power Strength Shards. We have the Nourish ability from Grendel Helmuth on here. And the weapon is actually pretty important for this loadout. It's the Ocucor Pistol. And we have the Sentient Surge mod equipped. This is a lot more convenient than his normal Exalted. The enemies defeated by this weapon will refill the magazine. So you just hold on the trigger and float around, because Dante floats around instead of walking. So that's going to be really nice. You just hold on the button, everything dies around you. Your mini book is just going crazy because of all the fire rate you have. Your Pageflight birds are making these enemies very vulnerable to status. And with all this heat damage we have on here, they're taking like hundreds of heat procs. So very, very nice. But as far as the Dante build, this might look a little bit weird. And yes, this build is meant for level 10,000 missions. Yeah, even with this mod, I've tried rolling guard on him twice. It is not needed. But yeah, as far as what we have on here, this build comes from many tests and many seeing how it feels over time. So as far as what we got on here, we do not need rolling. We do not need prime sure-footed on Dante because overguard gives you prevention from knockdown. So you do not need rolling guard or prime sure-footed on this guy because he's good. And he's probably getting nerfed as DE estate. We'll talk about that later, though. So as far as what we have on here, we've got power strength here, power strength here, power strength with the Aura mod. The Aura mod is definitely flexible, but a little more extra power strength is good. And then we've also got Archon Intensify, as I stated. So when you cast a second ability, Light Verse, it's going to always proc Archon Intensify, but reminder, Archon Intensify cannot be re-procced while it's active. So after using the ability that restores health, extra 3% power strength for 10 seconds. That's going to be more power strength than Umbral Intensify, because Umbral Intensify is 44, and this is going to be 60 total for all abilities. If you only care about his 4, you can use Precision Intensify, which will make it for his 4th ability to go up. But I want to let you know that the Overguard cap goes off the power strength of his 2, okay? So if you don't use a mod like Archon Intensify or Umbral Intensify, you will not get an increased Overguard cap. And also Nourish won't be affected either, so it can be nice to run Precision Intensify because the birds are affected by that. The Tragedy AoE Explosion is affected by that. And the Overguard, like Burst, is affected by that too. But yeah, I do want to make sure I have my Nourish pretty high power strength, and also Light Verse is important to have that on as well. So now that we established that, we have lots of power strength mods. We got multiple range mods. We got Stretch, and we got Cunning Drift for a total of 60% extra range. Means that our Triumph radius is 48 meters. Our Tragedy radius is also 48 meters. So a big nuke, and also yeah, radius for most things are pretty high. So make sure your 32 meters is kind of not that far, but if you're somewhere near your teammates, they will be getting this overguard constantly as well, which is quite nice. We got Prime Flow because I'm spamming abilities a lot. Now, if you really didn't feel like you needed this, you could maybe just not put this on here and do another range mod. But for me, I like to have 760 energy because our ability, we're running Blind Rage technically, so the ability should be costing a good amount of energy. I think the UI is glitched, not showing the proper energy cost, but yeah, we got Blind Rage maxed out, and we've got no efficiency mods. So I think that Prime Flow is pretty helpful here. Prime Continuity. Now, I know some players don't think Dante needs duration. And I would agree with you if you are not planning on using the mini book or the birds. The birds scale off duration, and so does the book Wordwarden. 58 seconds with this duration. 45 seconds if you didn't have any duration mods. So the way I look at it is that you are casting, so to get the mini book and to get the birds, you have to cast 3 total abilities. So if you're doing it, you not have to cast those abilities as much if you have some duration on here. Now, for player preference, if you think like I'm not using the birds as much, you could take off Prime Continuity and go with like Augur Reach in that slot instead if you prefer that. It's going to make the radiuses on your nuke attacks bigger, but you're going to be constantly recasting those birds. So if you don't care about the birds or the book, then you can just definitely do that. But for my build, I need those birds in that book. And also, the duration of Nourish is pretty low as well, so it's going to help that duration on Nourish. As far as the rest, we got Energy Nexus combining with Nourish is going to give us about like 12 energy per second. Once we're multi augmented all the way up, maybe even like 15 energy per second. So really good stuff there. Actually, it might be even more with Archon Intensify, but yeah, this is going to be how you don't have to run Energize or Steadfast. I know some people like Steadfast on Dante. You do not need Steadfast on Dante or Energize with this build. Just make sure you're killing stuff constantly. And the weirdest mod of them all is a Mars Anguish. This is the slot that used to be Rolling Guard before. But as far as what this is for, it's going to give you increased parkour velocity and sprint speed. I'd say if any mod on this is up to personal preference, it's this one, because I just think Dante feels kind of slow. So I wanted to put a speed mod on Dante to make him feel faster. It's going to give us parkour velocity and sprint speed. Ice Spring only gives parkour velocity. So yeah, sprint speed will affect how fast you're floating around. Archon Avenger can proc on your overguard, and we are utilizing that to get big damage with the Ocucor pistol. As far as, you know, like level 10,000 missions with this, you can definitely use the Ocucor pistol in a level 10,000 mission with Dante. You know, use those birds, use the mini book. The mini book will seriously hook you up with some more procs, and the birds will make the enemies take a lot of heat procs from your Ocucor. So that's going to be a really good combination. It's a very chill combination too. And in the footage you're seeing right now, I was missing, I think, like 1 mod slot or 2 mod slots on level 10,000 Dante. So yeah, we got some more extensive gameplay I'll be showing you here. But yeah, Dante is very good for level 10,000 missions. And he's also very helpful too, because unlike Wisp, that overguard's going to give you some brief invincibility when it breaks. Now let's go over all the weapons we're using on Dante. And yeah, I'm using Molt Augmented as well, because that just gives you more power strength. This guy likes power strength a lot. We've got the Burston Incarnon here. Going to be used to kill level 10,000 Thrax. We've got Forceful Finality, Kinetic Battle, and Absolute Valor, giving big DPS increases. As far as the build, it's a corrosive build, as we're using those corrosive shards to get fully armor-stripped enemies with 14 procs. But yeah, the rest of it it's literally just corrosive. We got Hammer Shot in here as well. For the main weapon used in this is the Ocucor, though. So if you don't have the Ocucor Sentient Surge mod, you cannot get it anymore unless you buy it from another player. So if you have this, you're gonna be chilling. If you don't have this, figure out a different weapon, maybe like the Epitaph or something, or the Atomos. The build on this is going to be a corrosive build with heat. Now, if you watch my previous Neja video with like the Divine Spears, the heat weighting is important on this, because we're going to be throwing on Nourish too. So we're going to have viral, corrosive, radiation, heat, and puncture. So you want to make sure the heat is as high as you possibly can get it. I have a heat rivet on here, and we also got prime heated charge. But if you have a Toxic Rivet, it's not that big of a deal. You're just going to be getting less heat procs. But yeah, the idea of this build is to be used for level 10,000 enemies. Really good for slaying them out. And we don't even need a Bane mod because we're that powerful. Cascadia Flare on heat status effect. Increased damage stacks up to 480%. You do not need to get any kills for this, so that's really nice. The Praetos is the movement speed stat stick used here. And basically just, yeah, increased sprint speed, increased slide, and increased parkour velocity. With this combination of things, we can float around pretty quick. We can jump pretty far, per bullet jump. And in the long run, if you're doing like a cascade or a disruption, that parkour velocity does add up a lot over time. Now, like I said, if you are not as confident doing high-level missions with Dante, you can throw Rolling Guard on there instead. Since Dante does get overguard regeneration during once you get a kill with Triumph active, you can do Rolling Guard. And then while you're invincible, get a kill, and you'll get your overguard regenning, and you'll be getting constant invincibility, basically. So if you want to do that, that's what I did for one of my level 10,000 Dante runs. But in the end, I wanted to go with this one because it just feels more useful. So yeah, Archon Avenger, great on the Ocucor. Now let's get some high-level missions on here. I told you I could show you Dante nuking level 10,000s, and I'm not joking about that. So let's go ahead and show that. And we can talk about Dante's upcoming nerf that was just announced today. We didn't really have a ton of information on it, but it is going to be happening according to some high-ranking community members. All right, so we got a level 10,000 Corrupted Heavy Gunner right here. We got some level 10,000 enemies behind her. Let's go ahead and see how that goes. So we're using double Dark Verse from Dante. I'm going to throw some Viral Procs on them too, because why not? So you're right there. I didn't even see how high health those enemies were, but those are some level 10 or level 9,999 enemies dying to Dante's abilities. Additionally, since we are in a fissure, enemies can go above level 10,000 here, but you will see that it's not really going to be as good against that Thrax. So you can nuke down trash ads no problem at level 10,000 with Dante, but for like elite enemies like this, you need to have things like, you know, your weapons to take care of that. Now let's start talking about Dante's upcoming nerf and what that might potentially mean. What would they nerf about Dante? I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't think it'll be a major nerf. And look at right now, so these are maximum level enemies hammering my overguard constantly. So keep in mind, they will break whatever overguard I have in like one bullet. But yeah, here is going to be the information that we have about the nerf. It was also said in the dev short today with Rebecca and Steve. So keep that in mind. It's probably like very, very early in development, the Dante nerf. We just don't know what's going to happen. So here we go. Hello, Poppin. I head into this to provide some dev insight related to this conversation. As Dante nears 1 full week since its launch, the team has been reading and collecting feedback in all areas, including Dante himself. To remind us of our nerfing philosophy, we do not nerf things unless it automates play, is disruptive to a squad, or is dominant in states. We are currently happy with how favored Dante is and recognize that nerfs typically have a negative connotation. With that in mind, we are reviewing early stats with an open mind to ensure we don't leave room for disruptive or dominant playstyles. Any tweaks are done to Dante to ensure it will still perform strongly, just not disruptive or dominant. So they are going to be nerfing Dante, it sounds like. That seemed like a pretty, concrete, we're about to be nerfing this dude. Now, what might they do? Now, if you looked at the thumbnail of the video, you might realize I said move over Wisp. Because I'll tell you what, after you've had a Dante in your squad, I'd say the only thing Wisp is really doing now is like Breach Surge and Fire Rate buff. Because the HP motes of Wisp are nothing compared to this. So the big thing is when you have a Dante in your squad, you do not need to look at your health bar at all. It's just a 50,000 overguard, 80,000 overguard, depending how much power strength they have. You have more health than 2 Inaros put together as you're on top of your normal health bar and your shield bar as well, which has shield gating. You'll have overguard gating after that, and you'll have I guess your normal health bar too. So that's going to be really nice, and Wisp does not really provide that. So maybe he's making Wisp not look as good to some players, including me. So yeah, if you want an easy time, bring a Dante into your squad. If you want to have an easy time, play Dante yourself. And as you can see, no rolling guard, level 10,000. Nuking down, and I don't even know what level those enemies were. They're probably level 10,000. So yeah, killing high-level enemies with Dante as well. So, with that guy right there, I definitely needed the weapon to kill that Thrax. So it's not like it's the most, smooth thing ever, every mission. But in normal level missions, it sure is. So I think that as far as things they might nerf the overguard he provides. They might nerf the AoE radius of his Tragedy Expedite Suffering attack. And maybe something else. I hope they don't, but yeah, I'm really liking Dante a lot. A lot of other players liking Dante a lot too. He's really easy to farm, though. Maybe the fact that he's so easy to farm is what they're not liking. Because, hey, look, that didn't kill level 10,000. He's not OP. No, he might be a little bit OP. But yeah, I think that the nerf's not going to change too much. Like, he's not going to go down to, Caliban tier. He's not going to become, Corvex 2.0. Not that Corvex is that bad, but he's not going to go from being very popular to really unpopular, I don't think. If they did do that, that would be quite sad, because, he's only been out for a week. It's not like, if they majorly nerf Dante, it will be like, dude, I only got a week to play Dante before you nerfed him, now he's not very good. Like, that would be an awful, awful thing, because he's a very, people like Dante a lot right now. If they were to over-nerf, that would be a massive, massive issue, I'd say. So, I wouldn't expect that if I were you. But yeah, I would expect some kind of nerf, though, because that seems pretty, pretty glaring, those words they were using. Now, as far as some other helmet abilities you can use on Dante besides Nourish, I think Nourish is the best one, because, as you can see, you can kill level 10,000s with no armor strip, no roar, but some players do like roar on Dante. Maybe you don't want to have to cast Tragedy to kill level 10,000s. You could use roar, maybe some Dark Verses to kill level 10,000s. If maybe you don't care about level 10,000s, you could do something like Pillage, something like, Roar is good. Nourish is the easiest and the chillest, I'd say, because as I said, we're getting Viral, Corrosive, and Heat on our mini-book. Oh, I didn't show the mini-book build. I'll show the mini-book build before we're done here. You're getting Viral, Corrosive, Heat on your Ocucor, which can kill level 10,000 enemies. And, it's just really, really nice. So I'd highly recommend getting Dante. I don't think the nerf will be too big of a problem, because he's so good that it would have to be a massive nerf for him to really stop being this good. So maybe run Rolling Guard when you play Dante level 10,000, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that anymore. So hope you guys found this video fun and helpful. Let's get the book build on the screen, and then we're going to call it. Now, it is a procer build for the Noctua, I'm not using this thing for DPS. And there are certain mods that don't seem to work on the mini book when you summon it. So I don't have any multi-shot mods on here. I also don't really have any fire rate mods on here either. The fire rate might work, but it's kind of hard to tell. So we've got Corrosive and Heat. When we throw on Nourish, Nourish will affect this. So it's going to go for a ton of status chance. But keep in mind, this thing has a very high slash weighting. When you're putting on status chance mods, make sure you don't put on Karna's Stinger. Karna's Stinger is going to make it where your slash weighting is really, really high. And unless you're using it as like a slash attack weapon, this will make, like, look at this right now. So we have Corrosive and Heat, 448, 896. If we put on Karna's Stinger, the slash is like double, it's like triple the heat. So we're getting way too many slash procs. We don't want those slash procs. So we put on Jugular Spines and Saxon Spittle. There is no impact or puncture on this thing, so it's just a free status chance upgrade. Stunning Speed is a really bad mod. I'd love to put a different mod on here, but for right now, I've got this on here. And yeah, you could maybe throw on, like, I did try Punch Through Ruin this thing, so I wouldn't really recommend that. You could maybe put on, like, you know, Hornet Strike for lower level missions to kill stuff. You could put on, really, you got options. I tried Lethal Torrent. Like I said, I don't think the multi-shot works on this thing, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, that's going to be my first Dante video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I have used this build 3 times for level 10,000. It's been great. Just a reminder to put on red shards instead of green shards when you're doing normal missions. See you guys next video. Dante won't be nerfed too much, hopefully. And yeah, take it easy. Peace.